Hello everyone, and welcome back to Driver Korea. This is episode number 50 for the French Grand Prix in 2022. This is going to be an interesting one. We are entering the second half of the season now, but before we get into any of that, we of course have the Pirelli Hot Lap Challenge. We're doing the rival duel once more. I always find this to be the most enjoyable of the options when it comes up, because you actually do have an opponent to compete against. They're not very good, but it's something a lot better than just a time trial or a drift trial. But anyway, with this first one, as always, all we need to do is really just keep the car on the road, and we should be good to come out on top. The actual segment of track that we use for the rival duel at Paul Ricard, it's actually quite a long section. We started after turn 2, and then we finish in the final sector. So yeah, this is probably around about half a lap or even more. Say that compared to Azerbaijan, where it was really just the final sector, 3 corners essentially, 4 I suppose if you include that last little right hand kink. But anyway, we go to the 5 red lights once more, and we go underway for the second part of the rival duel. And once again, we should be able to take this one relatively easily. We hold the outside line, and that gives us the position through the left-hander of what is typically probably turn 4. There are a couple of little kinks in between, which I'm not sure if they would count as corners or not, depends on the circuit. But anyway, we move on to the end of the second run. A little bit of a wobble as we get to the end. We smash through the Aramco sign there, and that still counts as the victory. So maybe a little bit lucky to get away with that, but we cross the line first regardless. The extended line, I suppose. But anyway, with attempt 2 done, we just need to win part 3, where we have to, of course, start behind our opponent. And this might be a little bit of a tricky one, we'll see. But I think we should have the pace, so let's see how this goes as we head through the first few corners. Not great speed there, and because there wasn't a huge run to the first corner, we couldn't get them too easily, which is why I was sort of suspecting this one could be a little bit trickier. Track limits warning there, but we don't really worry about those in these rival duels. But anyway, we barge them out of the way, and a big slide there as we have to catch it. Oh, contact! And my goodness, we have just damaged a couple of very expensive Ferraris here. But anyway, we now have a lot of work to do if we want to catch up to our opponents. So let's see how this goes as we head into the chicane. This probably hasn't quite gone to plan. I don't think the promoters will be too happy about how this last race has played out, but anyway, we get through the chicane reasonably well, but we're still a fair way behind, so I don't know if we're going to be able to pull this one back, to be honest. And it might be a silver reward for us today. We'll see what we can do as we send it into the high-speed right-hander. Certainly not flat out in these cars, and we drift a little bit wide, but we're still okay. Now into the final long right-hander, and we are going to try and dive it to the inside, and they are very slow on the way into the corner there. We sneak on through, and that is a race victory for us in the last 100 meters or so. So that's worked out well, and we still get the goal despite a shaky start to the third round there. So yeah, with that done, we can move on to the race weekend itself. 3 wins and more acclaim rolling in, and now we move on to the end of practice. We get our resource points, almost 2,800 resource points, which is a really frustrating number of resource points to have, because we are actually so close to being able to purchase 2 major upgrades, but we fall just short, unfortunately. Even with some of these discounts coming on, none of them particularly helpful in terms of what we need to work on. So yeah, it's a little bit frustrating. We really need to work on the chassis, and there was a whole lot of those discounts that were just for components that we don't really need to work on. But anyway, that's what the team are choosing to invest their research in during practice. There's the R&D chart, or a version of it. We are 5th now behind McLaren, so we actually have fallen away there in the recent past. Weather forecast for the race, though, you can see a mixture of a little bit of everything. Starts sunny, then goes to a little bit cloudy, then goes to full-on rain, and then into heavy rain, back to light rain, and then back to sunny at the end. At least qualifying will be all dry. There's the upgrades for the race weekend. We've got a weight redistribution upgrade. That's not going to help us in terms of our raw speed too much. Maybe just a little bit better car balance. We've got the MG UK improved materials, that's just durability, and we've also got a fuel efficiency upgrade, and the one that would have helped us most, I think, here would have been the drag reduction upgrade, and that unfortunately failed on us. So yeah, we are going to invest straight back into the chassis department, and we are going to get the front nose cone structure and upgrade, and that's a weight reduction upgrade. So while we have done a lot more weight reduction than redistribution and tyre wear upgrades, I believe the weight reduction upgrades should give us, the most immediate performance, I think. So hopefully that is how that's going to work for us, and we're going to rush that. And we're also going to rush onto the car the rotors upgrade. That is an upgrade for the ERS system. In terms of the actual R&D chart, you can see some interesting things. Sauber notably have made a monumental leap forward, and they've joined the fight with us, McLaren and Alpine. McLaren also making a good jump forward. Red Bull streaking away from the field. But yeah, this is going to be very interesting to see where the Saubers end up this weekend with that kind of improvement. But anyway, we are of course going to move to our second lot of components for the energy store and the control electronics, and yeah, we can switch to those for the rest of the season. Shouldn't be any trouble in terms of how long those components will last now that we've made it this far. The second lot will get us to the end of the season very easily, especially the control electronics. Hardly anywhere on the original one. We get a new gearbox in as well at this stage of the season, and yeah, hopefully we should be in for some better reliability in the second half. Usually the first half of the season is the more difficult half, so hopefully our reliability troubles are behind us. Also, just interesting of note here, looking at the results of the season so far, last time out at the Red Bull ring was the first time a non-Red Bull or AlphaTauri car scored the fastest lap of the race, with Ferrari taking their first fastest lap in the hands of Carlos Sainz. But even more notably, the top 5 in the championship, none of them finished on the podium. So yeah, crazy race there. But we focus back on ourselves and what we can do in qualifying here. We are in good stead in our rivalry versus George Russell after the events of the last round, and it's not a good start in qualifying because we immediately have a little issue here. So
okay, I hope you brought something good to read today. There's an issue with the fuel system. We don't think it's anything terminal, but it is going to take some time to investigate and repair, I'm afraid.
Fuel system issue? Well, that shouldn't be related to any of the components we changed. We changed the gearbox to the control electronics and the energy store, so nothing directly fuel related there. So hopefully that's not something wrong with our new components, and yeah, that's just a random little issue that's come up that they can get sorted out. We do eventually get running in Q1, and we start our lap right behind Alex Albon, but we'll get past him very quickly as Albon moves out of the way. And this is the penalty, I suppose, for having to wait a couple of minutes before getting into qualifying. Is that now everyone else is actually on their cooldown laps, so yeah, we had to work our way through a little bit of traffic. It wouldn't have cost us too much in terms of time, maybe a little bit of slipstream as well. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be any major impact, but just more of a distraction than anything else. We do come around to finish our lap in Q1, and that should be a good enough time to get us into Q2, and indeed it is in P10, Yuki P11, so we are pretty close on pace at the moment. Valtteri Bottas is up in 4th position. Those Sauber upgrades are working a treat for the Finn. Where is Zhou Guanyu? It appears he may not have made it through, and unfortunately he didn't, so Zhou Guanyu more than a second away from his teammate. That's a shame for the Chinese driver. I wonder if that was just a freak lap from Bottas, or if Zhou Guanyu just didn't deliver. But either way, the Chinese driver is out, along with the 2 Aston Martins and the 2 Williams, as almost we've seen it almost every round in the recent past. With Alex Albon ahead of Lance Stroll, who outqualifies his teammate Sebastian Vettel, and Nicholas Latifi rounding off the grid. So that's how the back 5 line up. Let's see how things play out in Q2, and in fact we move straight on to the end of the session because it was not terribly different to Q1. And yeah, both myself and Yuki actually get into Q2, which is absolutely fantastic. Valtteri Bottas did not deliver in Q2, and in fact he was only a couple of tenths faster than Joe was in Q1, so maybe Bottas just got a mega slipstream on his lap, or some other factor really boosted that lap time for Bottas in the first session, because he was not able to replicate it. But Nico Hülkenberg is also out, along with Kevin Magnussen, along with Fernando Alonso and Daniel Ricciardo. But awesome to have both AlphaTauris into Q3. Let's see how the final round of qualifying plays out. This could be a good weekend for us if we can continue this pace. So here we go then into Q3 itself, and yeah, we should be on for a pretty strong weekend. We missed the first apex there, but hopefully that's not going to cost us too much in our overall lap time as we continue to wind our way through the opening sector, getting through there pretty nicely actually. I've typically struggled with that zone of the circuit, but yeah, we sling together all these corners quite nicely now into the middle sector chicane, taking a lot of curb there on all 3 parts of the chicane. So really trying to get the most out of all of that now through the never-ending right-hander. There's about 8,000 different lines you can take through that corner, and none of them are quite right. But anyway, as long as you get the power down nicely and use all the road on the exit, most of them can work out okay. We take a really wide line here. That's by design, so we can really open up this final corner. And now to the line. We missed the apex, still a little bit of that final corner, but wasn't too bad. And we set an okay, well, we had better than okay time. We go P1 for the time being, and we eventually do drop down the order in the final session. Yuki Tsunoda down at the back so far.
We're all ready for tomorrow's race, but before we begin, let's have a quick look at those who'll be fronting the grid. Verstappen, Perez, and Lando Norris. With qualifying complete, all that remains now is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then.
So yeah, at the end of qualifying we end up P6, which is not too bad to be honest. We've out-qualified both of the Mercs, which is awesome. We did get out-qualified by Lando Norris in the McLaren, who also out-qualified both the Ferraris, so that was a smashing lap there from Lando Norris. And Yuki Tsunoda down in P10 unfortunately didn't have the pace in this final session. Esteban Ocon for Alpine in the top 10, their home race. There, referring to both Ocon and Alpine, so yeah, that is really awesome stuff for the Frenchman. We'll see if he can get some points on the board. Let's get into the race.
Here we are again then at Le Castellet for another round of this year's Formula One World Championship. Renault took their first French Grand Prix win all the way back in the inaugural race in 1906, but it was another 73 years before they could take their second. I'm sure Alpine will be pushing hard to delight the local fans here today. The circuit Paul Ricard then, a 3.6 mile track, 25 miles east of Marseille. 15 corners here, 6 to the left and 9 to the right, with the main overtaking chance expected to be going into turn 8. Top speeds today should be around 205 miles per hour. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. Sergio Perez lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Leclerc, Carlos Sainz, the Scientist, Russell, Hamilton, Ocon, and Yuki Tsunoda. Fernando Alonso, Magnussen, Valtteri Bottas, and Mick Schumacher. Joe, Albon, Lance Stroll, and Sebastian Vettel. Latifi and Daniel Ricciardo fills the last spot on the grid. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. Natalie Pinkham joins me once again in the commentary box. It's fantastic to have you with us today. I'm curious though, how do you think the drivers stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the rundown into turn 1, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It'll keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
After the points finished last race, let's aim to keep that momentum going.
Alrighty, thank you, Mark. So, let's take a look at the strategy here. I spent a long time, longer than I really needed to, looking at strategy, because ultimately that rain is going to come, but I was just kind of curious what the fastest strategy in the full dry race would be. And the medium to hard strategy looked very good, actually, without even touching the soft compound tyres, of which I think we should have still had a spare. But anyway, with the rain coming, that's not really going to matter. We're starting on the mediums to make sure we can get that far into the race. 5 red lights are on, and it's lights out, and away we go for the French Grand Prix. And it's a great start versus Carlos Sainz, who had absolutely no traction on the hard compound tyres. He's already dropping down the order as we go down the inside of Charles Leclerc. And we might be able to get the Ferrari driver on the exit. It looks like we'll be able to get that one done, as looks like Lando Norris has been able to get the jump on Sergio Perez, who's also on the hards. We try our luck around the outside, but no way through for us there. Side by side at Charles Leclerc fighting away with the two Mercedes cars, and he splits them in the end. Hamilton ahead of Leclerc, ahead of Russell, and now Hamilton will probably be putting the pressure on me because Hamilton's on the softs and is one of the lead contenders on that soft compound tyre. I believe Lando Norris is also on the softs as we chuck it into the chicane as late as we can be on the brakes, but we are not we don't have the pace, I think, of Sergio Perez, despite the fact he's on the hards. We are still just struggling a little bit to keep up with the big Red Bull car. But Lewis Hamilton down the inside as we head into this never-ending right-hander. We give him the space, and Hamilton gets through. So that's job done for Lewis Hamilton on the soft compound tyres. And yeah, of course, on the mediums in what is on the R&D chart and in reality a slower car, we're not going to have much luck trying to fend off the Mercedes driver. So we'll see how much track position we can retain. It's still been a very solid start to the race for us. And yeah, we'll hopefully be able to have a solid run here with some good strategy. Let's see.
No need to worry about the tyre condition for now. Everything's looking good.
No damage on lap 1 as we've got a nice run on Hamilton. We're going to go for the move around the outside into turn 1, late on the brakes, and we get the job done. And Lewis Hamilton let that one slide. I don't know if he's just got a little bit distracted or what happened out of the final corner, but he had no speed. And yeah, we were able to just slingshot our way past on the outside line. Here's a replay of the start. Sergio Perez was getting swarmed on the way to turn 1. Lando Norris gets through, but he did manage to fend off Charles Leclerc. And that little battle allowed us to sneak through on the Ferrari driver as well. But Lando Norris on the soft compound tyres has made a lightning start to this race and moved up into second position. He'll be hoping to maybe chase down Verstappen, but we'll see. That seems a little bit unlikely. I think that Red Bull has too much of a pace advantage. Meanwhile, the fights continue behind, but looks like Charles Leclerc is managing to push on, and now might be putting the pressure on me, as Leclerc has cleared Lewis Hamilton. So Hamilton may be struggling for pace a little bit. It might be an issue with that Mercedes car at this stage of the race, because as soon as he got past us, we were able to re-overtake the Mercedes driver, as Charles Leclerc now looking to the inside of myself into this long right-hander, and looks like we're going to continue the side-by-side battle. Charles Leclerc gets through as Hamilton's trying to get the nose and up the inside, and ultimately he had to back out of that. Didn't have the command on the inside to force the issue, and we're able to hold off Lewis Hamilton. So yeah, this is a feisty battle.
Okay, expect to see some rain about 10 to 15 minutes from now.
And
Dry's
rain
definitely seem like the fastest tyre at the moment.
Rain is on the horizon, so we need to be wary of that. Still plenty of blue sky above us at the moment, but yeah, there is plenty of twists and turns that are coming later in this race for sure. But the Mercedes cars start arguing amongst themselves. Lewis Hamilton comes out on top, and now the Alpine of Fernando Alonso has got a nice run there on George Russell. Alonso down the inside into that flat-out right-hander, and he's going to get Hamilton as well. Side by side they go, and Fernando Alonso, the double move on the Mercedes cars. Alpine at their home race have just moved up into P6 on track. What a move by Fernando Alonso. That is going to be in the season highlights, but unfortunately for Fernando it is short-lived, as Lewis Hamilton makes the move back around the outside into the chicane a few laps later. So unfortunately the dream will not last long for Fernando, and he begins to fall back once more.
Yuki is in the pits. Yuki in the pit lane now.
But a great move nonetheless while it lasted. The soft tyre runners though, as you may have just heard with that teammate heading into pit lane, starting to stop early in this race, so they could make it to the rain. There's now just the medium and hard runners left. I think we'll be able
to stop once now, one stop left, and that's 13 laps now until your pit window's open.
I think we'll be able to hold out until the rain comes. Sergio Perez on the hards has made a stop though just now, so that is interesting. So obviously just not a fan of those hards, wants to get onto a different compound, but with the rain coming, I don't think that was a very well-timed pit stop at all for the Red Bull team there, and it would have been better just to live on those tyres. He still had some pretty good pace, certainly nowhere near Verstappen's on the softer compound, but yeah, that is a bizarre one. So
it looks like rain is inbound, and we're expecting it in around 5 minutes. 5 minutes until the rain.
And that's just absolute confirmation there that that is a blunder. For anyone who was on hard tyres and has just made a stop, that is not what they needed to be doing. You just need to hold out, and even for the soft tyre runners, they probably could have held on until the rain came.
DRS has been disabled by the stewards. DRS will be offline. Wait for further updates.
But either way, it's put us up into third place now.
Okay, conditions are going to keep deteriorating for 10 minutes at least. Right, we're no longer sure that these tyres are the right ones. It might be time to come in and change.
And yeah, we come into the pits now to get rid of the slick tyres. And yeah, I think mediums were probably the best choice. Softs would have been able to make things work as well. But ultimately, we'll never know. But we'll come into the box now, get our intermediate tyres on, and hopefully we'll have some...
At least another 10 minutes until this rain evens out. Stay alert out there.
We'll have some decent enough pace in this race to hold on to what is currently looking to be a podium position due to the other drivers around us making pit stops right before the rain hits. So as you can see now, absolutely soaking wet out here on track, so we do need to be very careful while we get these tyres up to temperature. But hopefully...
Perfect job on the turn in there, mate. Looks like a nice stop time. We're happy with that one.
A little bit delayed there, Mark, but anyway, hopefully we can have a good run in these conditions and yeah, maintain this position. That will be the target for the most part, but yeah, we are struggling a little bit.
Okay, Yuki is coming in for his stop now.
Already.
Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now.
Mark, are you having a bit of an off day today? we left the pit lane like half a lap ago. But anyway, radio.
Tyre condition still looking good.
Nothing important. I think I meant to click
These
on.
conditions are only getting worse. Watch out for standing water. Inters look like the best tyre for now.
I think I meant to click on the weather there. So yeah, the rain is getting worse. We're getting towards that heavier rain that was predicted midway through the race. So we probably will need to move on to the full wet compound sooner or later. In fact, we move straight on to that lap number 23 in this race. So we're not even halfway through yet, and Lando Norris has caught up to us, which is a little bit of a concern. But hopefully we should be able to stay ahead in the pit stop cycle. But I don't know if we will be able to anyway on
That was a fantastic stop, faster than we were expecting.
these full wet tyres. Sergio Perez just jumped Lando Norris in the pit lane, so that is an awesome
Yuki is in the pits. Yuki in the pit lane now.
an awesome stop by the Red Bull team to get that job done. Yuki Tsunoda in the pits as well. So yeah, we will see how the next phase of the race plays out. But yeah, these full wet tyres on this very slippery track are going to be pretty tricky to wrangle as we get a big swapper on, and that's going to allow Sergio Perez through as we try to get the power down, and Lando Norris is all over us now as well.
No need to worry about the tyre condition for now. Everything's looking good.
There's nothing wrong with the car. I swear it feels like it at the moment. The car is not behaving itself in the slightest. I'm having a lot of trouble you're just easing onto the power and maintaining the speed through the corners. So I can't wait for this this period of the race to come to an end, and we can go back onto the intermediates, which I was feeling a bit more comfortable on, although I was still lacking pace on those tyres as well.
So the rain's easing off a bit, but the track is still going to be wet for a while. Be careful.
But Perez and Norris
And gap to the car in front is 17.8 seconds.
both just went back into the pit lane for a set of full wet tyres, because they
Gap to your teammate behind is 27.3 seconds.
put the intermediate tyres on in that stop. So that is a really bizarre one, and I don't think they're the only ones, because Valtteri Bottas has suddenly found himself up in P4 and right behind me actually, so we're going to have to watch out for the Finnish driver who's got some great pace in these conditions. So Valtteri Bottas are loving the wet weather here, and yeah, we are still struggling on. We've got good track position through not making any strategical blunders.
Okay, you're doing well out there. Keep it up. We're looking at about 10 more minutes of rain. 10 minutes.
Which is ultimately what got us the result last time, so hopefully we can have a similar run of luck here, although I think Verstappen and Leclerc are a little too far up the road. And yeah, we let Bottas go through there, not really intentionally, but we just had a weird moment through the certainly not flat out right-hander in these conditions. And yeah, we continue to struggle on.
Okay, I reckon we could probably get away with intermediate tyres now. You're going to find it harder and harder to keep the wets cool from here, but the inters should be easier.
And Sergio Perez catching up to us now, as we've got Charles Leclerc with the mechanical drama. Leclerc was running second in this race, and the Monegasque driver is out. Disaster for Charles Leclerc, and he will score no points.
Check your MFD for a new strategy option.
And a last minute
Got
call
that confirmed.
into the pit lane from the engineer there, and we're going to box and move ourselves onto the intermediate compound tyres. Sergio Perez is caught right up to us again, so yeah, that's
Perfect job from you and the crew there, mate. We're delighted with that.
going to make things pretty tricky for us on this out lap with Sergio Perez right behind. We'll see what we can do, but I think the Mexican
Okay, stay clear of the white line on the exit. We'll receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross onto the track.
is going to get past us sooner or later, no matter what we do, because in these wet conditions they just don't quite have the pace. I've been getting better throughout the race, and in this next stint I think we'll be mostly okay. But ultimately, again, Sergio Perez is in a Red Bull car, and he makes the move down the inside, and we're not going to put up too much of a fight there. We'll slot in behind to see if we can get into a rhythm behind the Mexican driver, and yeah, just try and match Perez lap speed from behind, but I don't know if we'll even be able to do that. But anyways, we continue on we will take a quick look at the absolute mess of strategy that is playing out on the right-hand side of the screen on the race director. Look at all those pit stops. Multiple drivers doing double stints on intermediates. We're going to actually run out of space in the columns. This is all the pit stops that have happened so far, and it's not over yet. We're going to go back to dry before the end of the race, and there's going to be even more. So this has been another busy weekend for the pit crew, as if they didn't get enough of a workout last time out in Austria. So yeah, the rain is certainly messing with things in the middle part.
Okay, I think the track's going to be drying out quite soon. Be careful you don't burn out your tyres.
Of the season, as we have a big wobble there on the exit leading on to the back straight, and now we're under fire from the McLaren.
Tyre condition still looking good.
Lando Norris around the outside as we fight side by side into the chicane. Norris revving it out there, but we should be able to hold this one for now, and we remain ahead of Lando Norris. So we are desperately trying to cling on to this position, and you know, every point's valuable, especially in our fight against McLaren. So even though we don't quite have the pace today, we're still going to fight with everything we have to keep Lando Norris behind, and we are still under fire.
Okay, gap ahead is 4.5 seconds.
As Lando Norris does get around the outside there, and we can barely get it turned, and yeah.
Understood. Stopping this lap.
That was always going to be awkward from that angle on the inside line. But into the pits we come a little bit earlier than what may have been suggested, but I did check on the radio earlier in that lap, and it should be okay to go into the slicks now. The engineer did say that they should have similar pace to the intermediates. So we come into the pits, we get the slick tyres on, we're moving on to the soft compound tyres, which theoretically...
Perfect job on the turn in there, mate. Looks like a nice stop time. We're happy with that one.
We'll have an ever so slightly earlier crossover time going from intermediates to softs compared to the other compounds.
Okay, one stop to go. Just one stop left in this strategy.
And we will not be making that one more pit stop. We're going to go to the end.
Yuki is in the pits. Yuki in the pit lane now.
On these tyres. And yeah, they should make it. I don't think that's going to be any kind of issue. And yeah, the soft tyres will hopefully give us some good speed, where we can hopefully generate a bit more lap speed than what we've had throughout this race. But anyway, as we continue on, we did get jumped in that cycle by Lewis Hamilton, unfortunately, so...
Great manoeuvre, you made it look so easy. Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 29.7 seconds.
We've got Carlos Sainz behind us. We haven't actually seen much of Carlos Sainz since the start of the race, when he started on the hard compound tyres and couldn't generate too much lap speed out of those tyres at the start, or too much...
Okay, Yuki is coming in for his stop now.
Tsunoda stopping again, so I presume that's the same double intermediate issue that some of the drivers suffered at the start of the rain cycle, and yeah, it looks to be the case, as many drivers have had double intermediate stints both before and after the wet weather stint. So yeah, the pit crews have been extraordinarily busy today, and unfortunately Yuki Tsunoda has fallen well down the order.
Okay, let's try and overtake them now.
To where I think he otherwise could be. But Verstappen out in front has played the strategy to perfection. So have we, to be honest. Pretty much doing the same thing. And while we are a long way from the Dutchman, we have maintained very good track position in this race. And also notice Hamilton is on the intermediate tyres, and we are closing rapidly towards the Brit. Down the inside we go into the long right-hander, and Hamilton's got no grip as the track is continuing to dry. So once again, they fitted the wrong tyres to that car, and as the track's drying, they're going to need to box once again.
Okay, so the car ahead's come in and fitted the soft tyre.
As Valtteri Bottas is on the softs, so Bottas has made absolutely the right choice there, and I think Bottas will be in good stead to move up into the podium places now, as the others peel off to make their
Caution.
stops to slick tyres. Caution ahead though. What's happened in front of us?
Green flag.
Whatever it is has now been cleared. Look at a replay of Stroll going for a 360. Lance Stroll looping it there. And in these still greasy conditions, Lance Stroll just let the rear end slip a little bit much there, and that allowed his fellow Canadian to go through. Nicholas Latifi gaining a place there. Here's a replay of Lance Stroll in slow motion. Just, yeah, a little bit too much horsepower on the rear end there, and flicked the Aston Martin straight into a spin. He gassed it up, trying to keep it, you know, more towards the racetrack without going flying off into the next dimension. He did a good job to minimize the time loss there. Here's another look at the race director, and my goodness, you can see actually Zhou Guanyu as well has done a very good job in this race. He's in 9th position now, so he has recovered well. Actually, it says Guanyu Zhou on the list there, interestingly enough. But yeah, the Saubers 2nd and 9th, so or the Alfa Romeo, they are doing very well. But anyway, we eventually catch up to Stroll.
Bottas ahead, and gap to the car in front is 8.7 seconds. They're on fresh softs.
And yeah, we've got Bottas up the road monitoring that margin. Looks like we're not really closing up to Bottas, so he's got the pace in this race genuinely over us at this point. We can't close in that margin much at all as we get past Nicholas Latifi as well.
There appears to be an issue. We're currently investigating.
Oh no. 7 laps to go in this race, and we have another mechanical drama. We can only pray that it's a minor one, but we have to wait and see. What's it going to be? Bring me the news, Mark. Bring me the news.
Okay, we have a severe engine issue. Find a safe space to retire or return to the pits.
Oh, what?
I repeat, find somewhere to retire the car immediately. It's too dangerous to stay on track.
No! We were on for a podium in that race. This is the 2nd race in a row that we at AlphaTauri have lost a podium in the closing stages due to a mechanical failure. This is beyond a joke at this point. This is unacceptable. Disgraceful. We need to do better.
Another superb French Grand Prix comes to an end, and it's a thoroughly deserved victory. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently, and it's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be so proud of the victory they've secured here.
We could have been up there today. It's Max Verstappen who takes the race win here at the French Grand Prix. Valtteri Bottas doubles up and takes 2 consecutive 2nd place finishes in a row, with Sergio Perez in 3rd. Good recovery by the Mexican.
Let's have a quick look at how the drivers' standings have changed. Max Verstappen should be pleased with his performance, making gains at the top of the table. Let's focus on the driver of the day. Natalie Pinkham, come on. Who do you pick?
Well, for me, it's got to be Lewis Hamilton. The multiple world champion may be the obvious choice at this point, but he's certainly a driver deserving of his great reputation.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. And pulling further ahead in the standings, it's Red Bull. There was also a strong showing from the McLaren team today as they make their way up the standings. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time out? Be sure to join us once again as we continue to bring you all the excitement of Formula One.
Alrighty, let's rattle through the results super quick because I don't have much time given that we don't have highlights to roll through here. So, it was Max Verstappen, of course, who took the race win ahead of Valtteri Bottas, Sergio Perez, and then Lando Norris. Carlos Sainz took the fastest lap in P5, P6 for Lewis Hamilton, P7 for Fernando Alonso, P8 Daniel Ricciardo, 9th for George Russell, bad result for the Brit, and down in P10, Zhou Guanyu, I should say up in P10, because that is the first points scoring finish for Zhou Guanyu this season. Yuki Tsunoda missing out on the points, unfortunately for our teammates. So yeah, a pointless weekend for us. In terms of the Drivers' Championship then, Max Verstappen still leads the way, and he's up to 255 points, so he could feasibly get towards 500 points towards the end of the season. And yeah, not much has changed for us, with Leclerc not making the finish and Russell not scoring many points. We remain in P6, nothing changing there. In terms of the Teams Championship, Red Bull continue to storm ahead, and yeah, they are absolutely dominating. Ferrari 27 points clear of Mercedes. McLaren moved back ahead of us by 4 points. Alpine 27 points behind us, so if they keep this going, they could get into this fight as well. But McLaren certainly have the best pace on current form. Alfa Romeo are up to 43 points now, a mile ahead of Haas and Aston Martin, who have 1 point each. Still no points for Williams. So, that's that. Unfortunately for our rivalry with George Russell, while we are still ahead, we kind of lost a point. I don't think we should have there, because we didn't get a penalty in that race, but we lost the point for having a penalty-free race because we DNF'd, which is kind of an interesting quirk. But anyway, we get back to HQ. We'll see what's next. And we don't get any R&D points for that failure. 0. Thanks, guys. Don, would you believe it? The component that failed was our brand new control electronics. Just my luck. At least the old one isn't that worn, so we can still use it for the rest of the season.
I know we were expecting some new developments to come through, but some of them have failed quality control. We'll need to tell the team what to redevelop via the R&D screen.
Well, we get our wing mirrors upgrade on the car, which failed earlier on, and the crankshaft upgrade fails. We'll get that on the car for the next round. But yeah, that's a little bit of an annoying one. Aerodynamics department event, and looks like that simulator time we did was worthwhile for the aerodynamics team. I did check out what the end result of that was, and it looks like there was a discount applied to an upgrade, which is nice. So yeah, the side pod profile drag reduction upgrade looks like it's a major upgrade, and yeah, we get 25% off that upgrade, and it's the only thing we can actually do in the aero department at the moment. So yeah, we currently can't afford that after having to repurchase the crankshaft upgrade, and I'm just going through everything to see if there's anything we can do at the moment, but unfortunately that doesn't seem to be the case. So while we can work on reliability, there's still not really any reason to, because our components durability wise are good enough. In terms of the percentage where we're getting on each of the components, they'll all get us to the end of the season. And I don't know if purchasing these upgrades actually directly reduces the chance of failures, because quite often when you get those emails, they blame other departments like the aero or the chassis for those failures. So yeah, I don't know. Or of course for the power unit department. So yeah, I don't know, it's a strange one. But anyway, yeah, that is, I think, just about going to do it for this one. So yeah, I will say thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I really do appreciate it. Please feel free to give me some feedback in the comments. It is always very helpful. And other than that, I'll see you in the next one, where hopefully we'll see a checkered flag. Goodbye.